Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday night, which means it's another live Wicked Horror Show. I'm Kevin, and as always, I'm joined by Tony Has Nine Fingers.
What is going on, people?
And we also have Angel from That Strange Show this week. What's up, Angel?
You, what up?
Not much. And Tony, would you like to introduce our very special guests?
Sure. From the short film Stay Calm, they do pretty much everything. They act in it, they wrote it, they directed it. I don't know who you're going to first, but
You tell me.
I guess we'll go Sam Quinn.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, definitely.
Connor McLean.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, Connor? So yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. Tony sent out all the information, and just looking at the stills of it, I was like, "Ooh, this looks fun." And then I checked it out today. I always like to, I try to check things out as close to the time that we're going to be talking about it as possible, so that way it sinks into my brain a little bit more. But yeah, this is a really fun short film. It's about 18 minutes long. So do you guys want to maybe give a quick synopsis about what the movie's about?
Yeah, sounds good.
Who would like to give the synopsis?
Oh, you want us to do it?
I know.
Yeah.
Dude, I thought you were saying, do you want me to do it? I was like, yeah.
Oh, no.
This is about,
I would ruin it. All
right, Sam, go for it, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for it. All right. So this is the story takes place near after an apocalypse, and a married couple escape the city of LA with their best friend and find refuge in an off-grid house in Joshua Tree. And what we know about the virus is that it reacts based on their emotions and their adrenaline spikes. So it turns out that this threesome actually has a bit of a love triangle happening. And so they have to control their emotions and their most primal instincts in order to keep from turning into monsters themselves, as well as to keep from attracting monsters to them.
Nice. And so was this all filmed like during the pandemic, or was this something that has been in the works like before that all happened? Is this because it's a very, very small cast? I mean, usually with short films you see small cast, but was this all something where it's like, all right, we have what we have to work with, let's do this?
So actually, yeah, we kind of got this in under the wire. We got it in before the pandemic. We always kind of envisioned it being, we had, some budget restrictions and things like that, but we did what we could with that, and we always kind of saw it as a smaller scale short that could be a proof of concept for something a little bit bigger. And so yeah, we actually got this done right before things popped off, and so I kind of was editing during that entire stay-at-home dilemma.
Nice. That's good. I mean, it's good that you were able to get that done. I mean, it looks, I mean, I'm sure like you guys look at it a different way because it's like artists usually look at what they do differently, but it looks pretty polished to me. Like I know you said, no, it's a low budget, whatever. I'm like, it looks like something I would see like in a theater, except for, the length of it, obviously. But yeah, it's I really dug it, and I think it looks great. That's one of the reasons I was reaching out to Angel about it, because Angel is an aspiring filmmaker as well, and it's I always like especially when something looks really good, quality wise. I'm like, hey, Angel, you want to check this out?
I do.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it looks pretty polished to me. Even more polished than some of the full length features we talked to. I mean, that doesn't make or break a movie. You also have to have a cool idea, and this is I think this is a cool idea as well. How did
Yeah,
that
for
all
sure.
come to be? How did that like the whole idea of the love triangle thing come to be?
I think, we started. I think we started. Connor brought me the idea of, uh, he kind of pitched it. We had just worked on a film. He was an actor in a film that I directed, and he was like, "Hey, what about this? There's Bird Box where you can't see the thing. There's A Quiet Place where you can't hear the things. What if it was emotions, right?" And I was just like, "Holy smokes!"
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I'm surprised this hasn't been done, right? And also, I happen to be very, very much in sort of a Zen Buddhist mindfulness stage too. So I was like, yes, that's what the world needs to be able to control their friggin' emotions. Let's make this movie about it. So I think that's where it started. He brought that idea. We fleshed it out as sort of a short, and then as it was developing, I think I just kind of threw, hey, let's make this like a proper love triangle so that everyone is struggling with some sort of emotion, and there's lust and jealousy and resentment and all of those strong passions that, as we know, are very hard to contain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but you weren't wrong about like people needed to control their emotions, and it's like after you guys had finished filming it, everything hit the fan. So it was like
Yeah.
even more so at that point. So it's kind of, I mean, it's almost more appropriate now than it was before the whole pandemic happened. I don't know. I
Yeah,
think so. Anyway.
great timing for us. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you guys come to work together? I mean, I read through your IMDb's and stuff like that, but how did everything come to, your partnership? Like you said that you would have worked with him acting in some stuff, and looking at your IMDb's, you guys have been in other things together. So how did this relationship start?
So yeah, I think it's really cool, personally, Sam. But I think it's a cool kind of coming back together because we went to college together in, like, I don't know, 2005, 2006, and we studied acting and stuff like that. But we both also which kind of broaches some of the themes in the film that deals with addiction and kind of coping. My character, of course, has always struggled with addiction, and it's probably why he survived the apocalypse in the first place. But Sam and I kind of had some party days and some bad decisions and some tough life stuff go down, and so it was really cool to reconnect in LA, really just casually at a coffee shop, just to be like, hey man, how have you been? Like, what's going on? We're in LA now, and kind of got talking about those parts of our lives. And then when the film came up, we were like, what better chance than to kind of delve back into a little bit of those demons that we have from the past, and reconnect at that level, and kind of both coming back together as friends and also kind of a better version of ourselves from our past when we knew each other.
Cool. That's awesome. So yeah,
That's
you
dope.
guys have a history. I liked how you were like kind of being like, oh, 2005, like being like that's. I
Ages us.
wish I have a feeling I'm older than both of you probably combined, but that's okay. So yeah, Tony or Angel, do you guys have anything?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. You said budgetary restrictions and stuff like that. Like, how did you two work together? How about the actresses? Did you know them beforehand? Was there like a um
Audition.
what do you want to audition process or anything like that, or how did that all work out?
Yeah, it was fairly traditional in the way that we kind of put it all together. I guess we knew that we weren't. Well, I think actually Connor and I said, like, we're gonna try to make this thing no matter what, and then through a few investors, funding came through, and then everything else was it pretty traditional. We held auditions. Some of them, because I'm primarily an actor. Some of them, of course, were my friends who I asked to audition. But we ended up casting a lot of folks that we didn't know. Who were just right for it. So I think we did like 2 days or 3 days of auditions and callbacks and all that stuff. And then same thing with the crew. I believe a lot of that, some of them I pulled from previous projects I had worked on, and then good old Facebook LA crew groups. I think we pulled a few out, but a lot of references too. There's a lot of referrals. That's always sort of like it feels like the safer way to go about it. When you feel like when you're gonna be spending 4 12-hour days with someone, you hope that you can have them vetted by someone else first. But yeah, it was all pretty traditional, I would say. You know, it wasn't traditional. I don't know if this covers the question is at all. Was we shot it in Joshua Tree, which I don't know if you know spatially, it's about 2.5 3 hours from LA, depending on the traffic and the day. And so because these were long days, there was no way for us really to ask the crew or cast to drive back to their city, right? We happened to know someone who had this great house. One of our Broken Bicycle Films fellow directors, he had a place in Joshua Tree and said we could use it for almost nothing, right? So we're like, all right, well, we'll just figure out a place to house everyone, right? Which you think it's going to be easy, and then you're like, oh my gosh, this is harder than I thought, and this is a lot of houses and too many people. But we got so lucky that we found it was like a ranch house mansion that we converted into just like film summer camp for the cast and crew. Like a boys wing and a girls wing and that whole type of thing. But that was a little tricky. That was probably the most unconventional bit of all of it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty awesome. Was that one of the locations you filmed in as well, or is that completely separate?
No, it was separate. It was like I think a 7-minute drive.
Okay.
So it was pretty close to the location, and yeah, we got pretty lucky because we found it on Airbnb, and we told the folks, like what our plans were, and they were like, "Cool, just clean up after yourself." I think they even told us that we weren't the first to use their property for that. So. Yeah.
Cool. I mean, you're in a cool area. I mean, I've always like pictures of Joshua Tree are always like it's just really cool. You were talking about how you like the lushness out here, as far as like Massachusetts and like New Hampshire and stuff like that. I've never been to like any place that looks like Joshua Tree or or anything like that. I would like to experience. I'm sure I would get sick of it right away, but I'd still like to be there.
Yeah, it's good for a few days for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. That's why we wanted to shoot there was because it's just gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, we did land out there. I don't know what month it was, but it was like 90. Whatever.
It was August, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty hot, man. And like this house was like kind of reliant also on some solar power, and so I think we had some power issues once we were shooting. Like we had to we had this long take scene and the power went out. It was, so it had its, it was definitely like a desert experience. I had never been in Joshua Tree before. So as we were grabbing kind of all of our cinematics, I was like blown away too. I was like kind of, with the audience on the mountains and the landscape. And I love the cracks in the desert and all the aesthetics. But yeah, it was like 90 whatever when we were doing all the exterior shoots, and even in the house was pretty tough. But
Connor's wife was like days from having a baby.
Oh, geez.
So Connor was like, "Man, you got to come up with like an understudy or rewrite this." I'm like, "It's not gonna happen, dude. You can think positive."
It wasn't days, but I mean, it was like it was going
any moment.
Yeah. We shot our last scene, and I dipped out for sure that night, and the next day we had a baby shower, so I was pretty white for
nice.
a baby shower.
That worked out. Just walk in all sunburned from me.
I did. I was. Yeah,
are these my diapers? Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I was cooked in diapers, 100%.
Yeah, that's crazy. I would definitely burst into flames at a place like Joshua Tree. Like I burn here with all the trees. I burn like that. So if I would just drive by, maybe look out the window, put a foot on the ground, and be like, all right, get me back.
Yeah. Well, and it was already hot, and I had a couple of scenes where I was like, had to jog and like run out in the desert and stuff. And but my sweat, of course, they were putting like glycerin on my sweat because the sweat just wasn't working. I'm just like, guys, like, what's the deal? Like, I'm already sweating my ass off.
It wasn't picking up on the camera.
It wasn't. Yeah, like wasn't picking up on the camera. But I was just thinking too, there was one day where we already got to a late start, And we're just like, all right, we got a long day. This is going to be fine. Let's start early. And then like the first thing that happens is the camera car gets stuck in the sand. And it took us like an hour and a half to just push that out. And by the time it was out, it was like, all right, now it's 95 again.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that, like you said, this is like a proof of concept. And like, obviously you guys have been winning some awards around at some film festivals and stuff. And, I would say that is, probably looks good. So if you guys ever do make the feature, you won't have to worry about that. There'll be someone else's worry that you can go on that sound stage that they use in The Mandalorian or something and just do it there.
Yeah, it's all fun though. All the hard stuff is fun still.
Yeah, it gives you stories.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what the behind the scenes stuff is for when you do a physical release of something.
Yeah, we actually for the first time we had a proper behind the scenes recordist for that one, so he got all that stuff.
Oh, really?
Which was great, and he's an editor too, so he was like live posting with these cool edits and things. It was fun.
That's why I love it. I mean, you mentioned my collection. That's one of the things is I love seeing the special features behind the scenes stuff, because I don't think anybody realized what goes into making films. They think it's just so easy and it's like 1, 2, 3 and it's made. It's just like, that's why my mind has always changed on how many different people we've had on and the experiences that everyone had. It's just like what I thought was happening is so far from the truth, and that's why I look at films totally different too, especially like independent films where everyone's just like, oh, look at it. It's like you don't realize what happened behind the scenes or what was going on. So
so it doesn't break the sort of fantasy for you to know how everything went down.
Well, at that point in time, it kind of, not everything follows the same, but it's just one of those things where it's like, we've had people on where it's like, okay, we had 4 days to shoot and it rained 2 of those days or something. And then it's like, okay, now we only have 2 days to shoot and we got to do what we can. And then we've had other ones who lost the film or some of the footage and stuff in between. And it's just like, I couldn't even imagine. But it's one of those things where, I kind of doing this for so long, I kind of have a feel for it a little bit, but then it's always fun to see everything, how different everything is from, film to film. So
well, we co-directed, and which helps, actually. I think there's maybe some debate around, co-directing, but I really enjoyed kind of being able to focus and do what I needed to do and then pass it off and vice versa and have someone else, on camera. And we shout out to the cast and crew, because honestly, I mean, we had some hiccups, but generally speaking, I mean, we ended up having this just like really awesome, super positive crew. Everyone was on board, everyone was hustling the whole time, and the cast was a lot of fun and easy to work with and stuff like that. And that really, I mean, that changes everything, because we did have to deal with, we had like one night go over, and we had, some sound issues and some other issues, and we really had to figure out some of our stunts kind of like right there and then, because we knew we wanted to do a lot of real stuff and not do a lot of graphics. And so we're kind of like day of, blocking things out, figuring out our stunts. We only have so many takes where we got to move on. So it was a 4-day shoot, and it was definitely a full 4 days, but we really did have a really awesome cast and crew and some professional actors who could just turn it on and turn it off right when we needed them to, which is lucky for us.
Yeah. I mean, I liked some of the choices, like it, like you said, it's a lower budget, but even with the lower budget, like the choice of how how you could tell someone is changing, like the makeup that was used and stuff like that, where you guys didn't try to do too much, where it was like, okay, because that could actually ruin it for somebody. Yeah, I didn't personally see any issues with the sound, but that can also take people out of stuff. But I mean, I don't know. Everything was appropriate in my eyes.
Awesome. Yeah.
Funny story about the makeup actually is we had an issue, sort of a last minute issue with one of our actors the first day we were starting, and so all of a sudden we needed the mom character, and our makeup artist, who's a good friend of mine, and she's also one of the filmmakers of Broken Bicycle Films, she was our makeup artist, and she's an amazing actress. And I was like, do you think you can do double duty here for us? And she was like right out of the gate, like, yes, of course, I want to do this, like totally. And so she was like Mombi, right? Like the mom zombie. And then going off and like doing her own makeup. Luckily she had an assistant, right? And then a couple of other, like one of our PAs would like step in when she was on to like to help. It was just it became very collaborative, but yeah, we had to pull some strings there to make some of that work there at the end.
Nice.
She was
Well,
covered in like.
it looks good. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
She was covered in dirt and blood and all over her face while she's doing Sam's chest makeup for that final shot. And then she's running outside and like screaming at him. And then she's going inside and like fixing the other girl's makeup. I mean, yeah, she was out there crushing it for us.
That's
for sure.
awesome.
Yeah. Andrew, you were trying to say
No,
something.
I was gonna say about the makeup. I like that it was subtle, but it got across. It's like you see, sometimes you push it too much and then it just gets lost.
Yeah, just it takes it out of it if it doesn't. Yeah, if it's like too much.
Yeah,
it's tough.
For like the theme of the movie and like the feeling, I guess, the atmosphere that you guys created up until that point when everything started showing up. I just felt like it was a good touch to not go too overboard, because then you just take it out of the realism part of it, because the feeling thing is the true monster here, the loss of control, and so I feel like it came across great. So
yeah, nice. I agree. So you had mentioned Broken Bicycle Films. So is that a company that you're both part of? But it's a much larger than you guys as well, right? You mentioned another director. How did that all happen?
When I moved to LA, I think I just became a little frustrated by the competitive nature of the industry, whether it's filmmakers against filmmakers, me, or actors versus actors. And I was just kind of, I just felt like, I'm tired of like knocking on other people's doors. And so what if I just kind of create a community and then we kind of create our own opportunities. So, Connor came in, a couple of other folks came in, Becca. And so it's technically like a film collective and then also acts as a film production company, sort of the umbrella, if we need it,
That's pretty awesome. I mean, I've been seeing more people go that route, recently. But I mean, sometimes that's what you have to do, and like in order to get something made, it's like, all right, you're not gonna let me make my art, I'm just gonna do it anyways. So
well, I think, and it was more commonplace, I think, in like the 70s, that sense of camaraderie, of being able to call your filmmaker friend and say like, hey, can you watch this? What do you think about this? Will you sit in on this? Just so that it kind of makes more sense to me that you all come up together and equally create the best work that you can, instead of constantly fighting. A big inspiration, I don't know if you're familiar with Blue Tongue Films. They're an Australian film collective that consists of like Joel Edgerton and his brother Nash and David Michaud, who did Animal Kingdom. They kind of did that thing, and it was sort of the inspiration for Broken Bicycle Films.
Nice. That's
because
awesome.
they started doing short films, right, and then slowly just expanded it to features, and they were all helping each other, and a bunch of them are household names now.
Nice. So do you guys have any features under your belt, or is it all shorts that Broken Bicycle has done so far?
The biggest thing is just recently we were like sort of a co-production with 90 Pictures on a television pilot. So that's nice. Kind of been the biggest thing.
That's cool. And so, I mean, that's awesome too. You're like even looking at different routes, like TV versus, film, and with the way everything's just distributed now. It's it's kind of the same, I guess, but it's also a little different if you're looking at network TV or whatever it is. So that's pretty awesome. It's cool that you guys.
What's the
What was
TV show about?
What are you saying, Angel?
What's the TV show about?
It's just a dark dramedy. Yeah, it's a dark dramedy. I can't say too much about it yet. It's still kind of in the bag.
Angel's trying to steal your thunder right there. He's trying to take your idea.
I was saying, like you said, like you do the short films, you do your treatment, all that stuff, but you're always having, now you're moving on to, the serialized aspect of creating.
Yeah, I mean,
you look at.
Sorry, I was going to say even something like along the lines of the story of this short.
Yeah.
That could technically, I could see that be serialized. I mean, unfortunately, where the world is kind of drenched in zombies, so you got to do something a little different to stick out. But I think this is different.
Yeah.
I think this is different than the norm.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like we've seen zombies presented in different ways, and the most recent one that I've seen, it's not older, but I think it came out like 2018. It's like the first movie, what's it called? The Night Before the Night Eats the World, something like that. It's more of a human story than it is like there is a zombie apocalypse happening, but it's more about the people in it. And I found that movie to be like so good, in that regard. Versus like
more refreshing. It's like
It
happens to be a story that's happening during this.
I think the main problem with, especially because there are different zombie type films, because you have the Night of the Living Dead, but then you have the I guess you can call it zombie, like the 28 days, 28 weeks later, where it technically isn't a zombie, but it has that like sickness / zombie feel. But then you have stuff like Train to Busan, where that throws another wrench into it, or It Stains the Sands Red, where it's a single zombie following a girl with a period in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
So like it as long as you throw a different, I think the only problem is now with The Walking Dead, where it's like 10 seasons of that, and then that turned off into the 3 separate shows, and they're gonna bring like 4 other episodes. But this one brings another feel to it, a different aspect to it.
Daryl and Carol are getting their own show. It's like a sitcom. Daryl and Carol.
Oh. Anyways, so are you guys horror guys in general? Like, is that your background? Like, I know, like you've done other things, but do you have like a long love of horror, or is this something that you just trying?
Well, so to Sam's point about Broken Bicycle, that was the other cool thing was trying to meet each other where you're at as well. Like for example, I kind of went away from acting and other things and just focused on writing, and Sam was getting a little more into directing and acting, and so we were trying to find like the happy place where it was something that we both had interest in that we hadn't kind of separately on our own. I was writing a biopic, and I was writing an animation and taking those out, and Sam and I got together, and I was like, can we just do just like a horror, just like a straight up, just like have fun. I want to have fun. Now, of course, what ended up happening was, I think initially on the onset of the conversations, we both agreed that we liked horror. I was like, I just want to have fun, and I want to kill people, and I want there to be a lot of blood. Like, I want to try to go easier on my brain for this.
Yeah.
And I ended up kind of to Angel's point. It was like, man, but it still would be pretty cool to have try to have some real characters and some real story and some real drama, and then have that, pulse throughout the entire film. And then Sam got really excited. I think, Sam, you can tell me, but he got really excited about that aspect of like, yeah, we're going to do a horror. We're going to have someone, get killed, and it's going to be great. But we're going to have some like real characters and some real arc and some real outcomes to kind of make it feel like there's more going on to it than just like bloody slasher film, which is also valid and good to watch.
Yeah. There's a place for everything. Yeah. But so yeah, Sam, do you So Connor, you do have some history of being a fan of horror. Sam, you're in the same boat. You're a fan growing up, or
Yeah, I don't know, Connor. I may be more of a horror fan than you.
I think you are 100%. Yeah, I think you are. You definitely
Yeah,
are.
I was obsessed with horror as a kid. You know, I remember scaring myself watching actually the first movie that I was completely obsessed with, uh, as a kid was Little Shop of Horrors. And like
Rick
watching that just
Moranis.
yeah, just like as close as I could to the TV and not knowing why I loved it so much. And then slowly just like realizing that everything that I really loved had like a dark side to it and like a macabre side. And scaring myself as a kid watching, the Halloweens and like the Pumpkinhead movies and like
Oh yeah.
all these, and then not being able to sleep, all that fun stuff. My house was the cool house, so my friends would come over and we'd watch scary. My mom would like let us watch scary movies, and then I would say I was more casual in my 20s, and then I just kind of fell back into it really over the last like 5 or 6 years. I've been diving super deep again and sort of just watching old films that I hadn't watched in a while and then digging even deeper into stuff.
yeah, there's a lot of really there really is a lot of like decent like newer stuff out there too,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
that's a lot of it's been kicking off since the pandemic. To be honest with you, I don't know if
Oh
it's
yeah.
like we've been seeing like a ton of stuff come through that's just like quality stuff and like
Yeah.
some really like some of it may not be there yet, but it's got really good ideas and stuff. So it's exciting.
But I think it's always been there, kind of hidden.
Yeah.
But the last couple of years, it's just that kind of came to the forefront because you weren't having those big budget movies that were overshadowing everything. Those 2 years, especially in the beginning of the pandemic, it was like, okay, independent films might have been there, but now that's the only thing you can technically watch on Netflix, or like Shutter came
Yeah.
up and stuff like that. It was just like, okay, now this is where it came. It's not like it came from the woodwork because it was always there. So
Yeah, I think Netflix was like, all right, we're not getting these pictures from these big the film houses, so let's actually hit these catalogs of independent films we've been putting off for.
Yeah, and they've been bringing a lot of stuff over from Korea and stuff like that on Netflix.
Yeah.
Some awesome stuff. But it's yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm happy about it.
Me
There's
too.
plenty of stuff for me to watch. So the reason I was asking you guys if you guys have a history in horror is because Sergio's in the chat room and he always asks every week what your favorite horror movie is. So Sam, you would say that it's probably around like, well, coming up Little Shop of Horrors and then Pumpkinhead and Halloween, stuff like that.
When I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
I expanded my palette.
Yeah.
In adulthood. If I had to choose a favorite, I mean,
It's tough.
maybe it's typical, but probably The Shining through and through.
The Shining is fantastic.
Yeah.
Or Rosemary's Baby. It's like
There you
Rosemary's
go.
Baby,
Yep.
The Shining.
If you were able to see that the wallpaper in all of my monitors, I have 4 of them. That's all the carpet from The Shining. That's and it has been for years.
awesome.
So it's
Have
gonna stay that way.
you ever got to see it on the big screen?
I don't think I have,
I
actually.
haven't
Yeah,
either.
dude, I got to see it one time at the local theater here. Remember Agawam Cinemas?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, they had it a show, and I was like, up there and it was like insane, like
Wow,
the sound
yeah,
design, everything. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. The Shining was one of my favorites as well.
And because of you guys, because of that whole thing up there, I got to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the big screen again.
Yeah. We
You guys
ran.
were running that.
Yeah,
that's
we
that's
ran.
one of my favorites. But
Texas, we ran Evil Dead too.
mhm.
Yeah.
So Connor, if you had to list a favorite horror movie,
Yeah.
what would you say?
So let me say this about horror. It's one of those cool things that always slowly became a default for if I knew I wanted to feel something from a film, I knew I could go to horror. You go to drama to feel sad or emotions or longing or love. You go to an inspirational sports film, whatever. And I was like, man, I really want to like just dive into like the deepest core of my primitive emotions, and that's the horror unquestionably did that for me. So I would say early on, for the one that comes to mind, it's not the cool, classic or whatever, but it was that remake in like 1999 of House on Haunted Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys remember that, but like as a kid, when I first saw that film, I think it was one of the first times that I felt unsafe in my home. And that was a really important moment for me. I was like, I don't know how it's possible, because I know I'm watching something and I know I'm fine. I know I'm safe.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's possible that I'm now going to spend the rest of the night super stressed out. There's something in the dark corner. And I kind of became obsessed with that. And I would say that the one that totally shifted me forever, what you guys had mentioned already, which is 28 Days Later. But it was because I was in an altered state of mind at a party, actually, which is not really a good place to like check out horror. I believe in the setting and the lights, and there was like all this stuff going on, and I think there was a drug deal, to be honest. Like everything was going on at the party.
Perfect.
But it came on the TV, and the whole world disappeared, and I was super stressed out from start to finish in that movie. And I even walked out of the party just like, yeah, whatever, everyone. And I walked out of the party and I kept hearing footsteps coming for me. And I was like, okay, so that's an effective horror film. You know what I mean? Like if I can if I'm driving home and all I can see is a dude just like crashing through my windshield right now at full speed while I'm driving, that's an amazing film, So
while I'm driving on acid.
Yeah.
Right. It's all real, man. Yeah, but I think those two stick out to me just immediately if I think about films that.
And that's the one thing. No matter how many people, like I know enough people that think I'm crazy for liking horror and think it's a waste of time and immature and stuff like that. It's like I've never watched any of the movies that you like and felt like, oh my God, it was touching. This drama was touching, but at the same time too, I'm not sitting there being like, I wonder if the Titanic is waiting for me around the corner. Like it's not going to happen. I'm not going to think about it that much.
Hey man,
I feel like. Sorry, go ahead, Tony.
I was going to say with horror, the genre itself just has so many different subgenres. Like you can go into like any other genre movie. I mean, it's really just that horror has those subgenres. Like Connor was saying before, where he wanted, to have, the characters have something to them, like substance. Like there's a little bit of everything. There's horror movies that it's just a straight up slasher where you can care two craps about the people. It's just I just want to see gore and blood and whatever. But then you get those horror movies where I think that's what a majority of us like. It's like I want to have a little substance to my character because I want to care when they die at that point in time or live or something. Because sometimes it's just like, okay, you're just thrown into this, everybody dies, and it's like, well, okay, well,
yeah. I mean, that looked really cool. It looked really cool, but I didn't care about that person. Like, but yeah, it's so there's a lot of really good like horror. Like I mentioned Ty West to you, Connor, before we were going live. And I recommend checking out his stuff because I like every one of his movies. They're slow burns. They're definitely slow burns, but there's really good payoff. And all the ones that I've seen. Have you heard of Ty West, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen any of his stuff?
Remind me.
House of the Devil.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is one that the first time I saw it, I thought I had just missed a movie that came out in the 80s. I'm like, I must have missed this one. I'm like, no, this was made like 4 years ago. Yeah. The Innkeepers got me going too. He did Sacrament, and he just did that movie X that just came out not that long ago.
The Sacrament. Oh yeah.
A24 is.
Yeah. I feel like there has been a whatever you want to call it, a shift in consciousness also on a larger level for horror, which is maybe, I mean, I love it because I think, going into the industry as an actor first, I would usually go out for bad guys, villains and things like that. And I would ask my agents, what about horror films? And they're always like, no, we don't want horror. I'm just like, you're throwing it all into one category here. Like in the horror equals bad, cheap B film, right? Is I think a lot of the Hollywood's perception, the stigma of horror. But it does seem like the last 5-6 years has just been beautiful for horror with things like Parasite and Get Out, of course, and all these ones that are actually receiving some really solid critical acclaim. that now it seems like critics are starting to come around being comfortable saying the word horror, even because even in the 70s, if it was like a good horror film, something like The Shining or like The Changeling or something like that, Don't Look Now, they would never call it horror.
Right.
They would be like psychological drama.
Yeah, it's a
You know,
thriller.
and I'm just like,
Yeah.
they're like, no, this is like horror, dude.
Technically, according to like the film world, the Shining, I mean, not The Shining, Silence of the Lambs is not a horror movie. That movie scares the crap out of me.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
No,
terrifying.
it's a dramedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a coming of age tale of a young man.
So we haven't played the trailer yet. So I would definitely want to play the trailer for Stay Calm. So is this still doing the festival run, or is it are you doing?
Yeah, you're gonna update this poster. You got 17 laurels on here.
I think we have we're waiting on just a few more. It seems like we're definitely at the tail end of the run. So I think
is this something that eventually people will be able to check out, like on the Broken Bicycle website, or do you think is it something that you're just gonna, kind of hold on to until maybe do the feature?
Connor, we talked about it, but what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I don't know. I think initially we planned a pretty straightforward, like $1 VOD type energy on Vimeo, or something cool just to get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. We did kind of all of a sudden get a ball rolling downhill on the feature, and getting ready to do that. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know, Sam. Maybe we hold off, man. I don't know.
It was kind of like the question was, I think, if we could potentially get some interest from Hollywood, that we would go down that route. If not, we would release it online to a few places and try to generate enough interest on our own, to then go back to the studio and say, like, if we're lucky, so-and-so 1,000 people want this to be a movie, help us.
So keep your eye out on the Broken Bicycle websites and just your social media as well. And I'm sure they'll be posted. You'll be updating, if anything's going to happen with the short, and if not, maybe some info about a full-length feature. Yeah. But I'm going to play the trailer for Stay Calm. Here we go.
Do it.
The disease responds to your endocrine system, shocking you into a state of uncontrollable rage.
The devil walks among you, for the devil is in you. You have become
Lady Brew, it's your turn. Come on.
The devil.
Grab that fucking needle.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, for real. I was just thinking, you had mentioned that you were days away from having a baby, and I was just like, wait a minute, there's this big crazy love scene. How'd that work out?
It's all performance.
Making babies, bro.
Yeah.
It was all in post. We did it all in post.
Right.
That's all the CG budget went to that.
Right, yeah. That was real, man. It was all CG.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. And for 4 days, I mean, I don't know. It's pretty impressive.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I'm hearing a loud noise. I don't know where that's coming from. Is there a fan on or something somewhere?
Airplane.
Oh, that's you,
it's
Tony?
an airplane? Holy crap.
Of course, all that
loud airplane.
Jersey noise coming through.
That's right.
All that Jersey air, the stink.
I was telling Kevin earlier because he sent me the stuff down, and I was like, I checked out the trailer earlier today at work, and I was like, hey, how long is this? Because I'm trying to make it, but I got a couple things going on beforehand. And he was like, oh no, it's only 17 minutes. And I was like, the trailer, it looks like it's cut to be a feature.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, all right, cool. Like, I'm like, all right, this will be good. And I definitely dug the shit out of this. It was
I was pretty surprised when I opened it up too. I was like, what? It's only 17 minutes? Or 7, it's like 18 minutes.
Because like I said, I dug it because not only were you telling the story of the people inside while all that stuff was going on, but like that stuff outside was like more the norm. Like they had more to lose by what was going on inside. You know what I mean? Like if that makes sense. So
100%,
so I really dug that. And I like there's that little touch of the sniff at the I won't give it away. The sniff at the end, you know, when you come down. And I was like, okay. Like I'm like just little new like just little touches like that. Like I'm like, all right, so it's like I'll talk if you guys stay on, I'll talk a little bit afterwards because I don't want to give too much away since it's 17 minutes, but like you guys jam-packed this thing like well, you know what I mean? And like you capitalize and maximize like all your the seconds that you showed. So good job.
Yeah, definitely. And so where are you? Like we're mentioning the feature. Where are you guys at in that? Like, have you already like started writing it, or is it just it's just an idea right now?
Just really funny timing on this show, just because the script just finished. So, we're probably sending it out, just like the early phase of sending it out, like possibly this week, early next week. So, and the great thing is, and Angel, I really appreciate what you said. The great thing is that, the folks were taking it out to the short, since we did kind of have to kind of pack a lot of our intentions into it as both its own, film, but also to kind of show what we can do essentially, or try to do. It's going to really help that out, right? It's going to really help out the process of getting them to dive into, of course, this 100-page script and get the ball moving. So yeah, we think it's going to be sending out, and hopefully some conversations will happen pretty soon.
Nice.
And that's the thing, like you had a lot into it, but it's still in my mind. I'm like, there's so much more that it could be expanded on, because you said a lot, but like I was saying before we came on, like certain short films, it's like you have your 10 to 17 minutes and you get what you want, and then it's like I could see it being a feature length, but it doesn't need to be. This one, it's like I got what I needed, but I still need more kind of deal. It's like that weird thing. It's like what happens beforehand, like what started this, and what happened after, and like So I definitely, it's one of those things where like I weigh the shorts, and this one I want to see more.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we were talking about how it might develop into a feature, and Connor had some great ideas. So it's like the same idea, but a bigger cast, and more more myth building behind the virus and all that kind of stuff. So it really does. We're trying to at least explore the world.
For sure.
A bit more.
Yeah, you showed a little bit of it with the nuance with the parent and all that stuff, and the drive, the opening scene. But yeah, there's definitely something that they were running from that we haven't seen yet. You know what I mean? And then these guys obviously as well too.
Even
you
like
guys. Like, I mean, you guys. I'm saying
even to the point where you have this love triangle. How did that even start? Like, was that before this all broke down, or was this something that came about? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I want to know more about that. Like, how did that all happen? So that.
Well, I was just gonna say, actually, it's funny, man. The first cut was like, I think it was like 24, 25 minutes, and we were able to kind of do some more. We had some more dialogue between my character and Sam's character, and a little bit more of the kind of tension and backstory with his wife that my character has interest in, and but the thing with film festivals, as I'm sure is length is like can be a deal breaker sometimes, even if it's good, because they gotta fill spaces, and so it was a challenge. I mean, I'm really glad to hear that there was enough there to kind of sink your teeth into, for sure. But the whole time, I think Sam will agree that we were kind of itching to flesh everything out. So unfortunately, Sam and I won't be. Maybe we'll throw ourselves into zombies, but we don't plan on being in the feature. We're kind of gonna hopefully pass it off to some higher talent, some good pros.
Wait, I'm not playing the lead?
Yeah.
Hey!
I mean,
Sam, I
wait
gotta
a
talk
minute.
to you.
It's time to tell me this, Connor.
I thought this was my big break.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Angel, you should look at Sam's IMDb. You've been in a lot of stuff, Sam,
Yeah, Sam's been.
and a lot of like stuff that I was like, holy crap, he was in this. Holy crap, he was in this. So that's pretty awesome. I mean, it's good to see that, and you're also have your mind, your focus is on other things as well, like making movies and giving other people the opportunities to be in cool stuff.
Yeah.
So,
No, but
yeah,
I can see like more of like a because like with this, you guys dropped us in already mid roll. You know what I mean? So like I can see like the feature. I mean, this is just me speculating, is that you pick that person back up, the viewer, and expand them into like going on at the same time somewhere else, but more expanded type of deal. You know what I mean?
That's 100%, Angel.
That's great
precise. Yeah,
that's a great way to describe it. Actually, yeah, it's the same universe, different group of people. Yeah.
But we made sure to kind of pay. I mean, if it gets played, there's still a lot of we pay homage to a lot of the kind of beats that people responded to. It's like anything that people kind of sunk their teeth into, I made sure to transfer over. A lot of the kind of like but yeah, I mean, we have a producer who came on, a guy named Diego, who's great. Who he was excited. He's like, I can't wait. I want to see you break into some of the like the science and the mythology behind like what this is and like how it spreads. So that kind of turned into a big couple months of research, to try to make everything really fleshed out and thorough to then kind of expand on like all the different kind of rules and laws that they're gonna have to survive through. So it gets pretty intense and it gets pretty worse as the film goes on, for sure.
And the origin story, right? I mean, that's what you're talking about, the mythology, which we didn't really cover. We just didn't have the time in short to really, we know what it does to you, but we don't know why or how or what it is, what it's doing scientifically, which Connor was really adamant about, which I appreciate about getting the science right. When he was working on early drafts, he talked to legit biologists just to try to figure out how this could work in someone's body and how we can make it work with our story, because those are my favorites, right? Like there's some really great horror films out there that like Contagion is a good example, or even World War Z to some extent touches on the science in what seems like a fairly legitimate way, like this can happen, and you get it more than just saying we're infected,
And
that's what you get with some of the older stuff too. So you get like, magically we're all zombies now, and then
it was a New Zealand rat.
Well, hey, that's one of my favorite movies.
I know. No, but like you're saying, like it gives it a stamp of like authenticity. You know what I mean? If you
I was just to say, to that point, I definitely talked to a biologist, and of course, I won't say anything, but there's so much wild, true, real biology out there to play off of. And I also talked to, my wife's brother's a surgeon. He's married to a surgeon. So I got into like the medical side, and I was like, how does this work inside? How does this work outside? I'm going to have it all completely so that no one can watch it and call BS. Obviously you're going to stretch and you're going to do what you got to do, but just enough of those beats to make it as realistic as possible. And we were able to kind of slide in a little bit more. We did it some in the short, slide in a little bit more of some of the biblical conversations, to not make it an intentional biblical film, but to have some of the audience go, wait a minute, that's not a reference to science, that's a reference to something else. So to kind of like play with the different mythologies of what could be happening and what people think is really going on.
That's awesome. Now I extra want to see the full length feature.
And some end of days shit.
Well, that's the thing, is like you mentioned 28 days later and stuff like that. I mean, no matter what you can say, those are terrifying movies, and and it's something that could be reality. I mean, we're just in a pandemic.
It's reality right now.
Happen. Yeah, exactly. So I'm super excited about it. I'm hoping it'd be awesome one day to just see like, oh, this is finally coming out, and it's coming out on Shudder or something. That'd be awesome. Or, whatever.
Now is since you two are stepping back, is there like a bucket list of actors or actresses you might want to work with or have like an idea of, or is it going to be
You mean for the feature?
for
Yeah.
the feature?
We've thrown some names around. Yeah, I guess it would be hard to put it to make it super clear to y'all without knowing like the new characters, you know.
Mhm.
But like, but yeah, we're starting to put together some some hope,
list
some
of
like
some
wish
folks, yeah.
wish
Yeah.
list people, you know.
Yeah.
And luckily, Diego, our other producer, has more of a direct line into the Hollywood Rolodex, so to speak.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, that you know, it's unfortunate, but sometimes that's what you need for more eyes to get on it is a name, whether or not they're just someone in the background waving as they walk by. Like, you know, like you'll see something like, oh, Billy Zane is in this movie, and he's in it for like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah.
He dead.
Yeah, it's always like a fine line too, though, with name actors in horror films, right?
Oh,
'Cause,
yeah,
like either it ruins it for you, or it's cool to see them doing this thing, you know.
Yeah.
But if you know too much, unless it's like Scream, and then you don't expect
Mm.
someone famous to die, and then they die, that's great.
Yeah.
But it can always be. We definitely don't want it to be like stunt casting, where we're just getting a big name to sell it. Like they still have to be good, you know.
Yeah,
Just
and
like
have a part. Actually, have a part.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Intruder, where the cover says Bruce Campbell. You got to wait till the last 5 minutes of that movie for him to show up to be in it for 2 seconds.
Oh, whatever. I mean,
But
that's
it's a great,
I mean,
it's a great movie though.
right. I went to see Candyman because I knew Tony Todd was going to be in it. I didn't know where he was going to be, and he's literally at the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
So-
I feel like best cameo ever, Bill Murray, Zombieland.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
It was like so good.
What's
And
going
I
on?
wasn't expecting it because they hid it from you. I don't think I remember knowing that he was going to be in it.
No, it
I
was
didn't know.
just showed up.
Well, one of the things I love about, you know, who we go to, and this happens from time to time, where someone who doesn't, maybe you don't, you know, see initially or imagine to be in something like this, you know, who shows interest. So I love actors and actresses, you know, who don't go into anything around, you know, thriller or horror, and all of a sudden they're like, you know, covered in blood in this role. And that's always an exciting thing for me too, is when, if it is a name actor, but you're just like, what, you know, so and so is, you know, in a zombie survival film, like I gotta go check that out, you know, just to see how that goes.
Yeah. And then on the other side of it too, like I like seeing when you have like horror icons that have only just been a big monster all their life, and they're trying to do more, like where they actually have speaking roles and stuff like that. I like to see that too. I like to see that they're actually trying to, you know.
Yeah.
So it's I mean, I agree with you though 100%. It'd be crazy to see someone who's not, you're not expecting in a horror movie to freaking just clean up a place full of zombies or something. But, yeah, that's pretty awesome. But yeah, so we're actually we gotta wrap up. So thank you very much for coming on, guys, and I really enjoyed the short. And yeah, thanks Tony for bringing it to us too.
Yeah.
So
thanks for
where
making
can
it.
people? Oh yeah, definitely. But where can people follow you guys for more information? Is it just the Broken Bicycle films?
Yeah,
social media?
yeah, we keep that pretty up to date, and you know, all updates are pretty much on there. So you know, festivals, you know, where it's playing, when, and then any other projects, because we have a you know, a couple of other short horror coming up, yeah, as well. So
keep us posted. We'll be more than happy to check it out. But yeah, that'd be awesome. So yeah, go check that out. It's Broken Bicycle Films on all social media, right? Nice. And Angel, where can people find you?
You could just hit up That Strange Show on Instagram, Twitter, all the socials.
And you're also just like this show, you're on the Dorkening Podcast Network.
Oh yes, yes, we are. Yes,
we have to you know, feed the beast,
the overlords.
Yeah, exactly. So Tony, where can people find you?
You can find me at Tony Has Nine Fingers on YouTube, where I do movie reviews, unboxings, anything movie related. You'll find there. Tony Has Nine Fingers on Twitter, which I hardly ever use. Tony Has Nine Fingers on TikTok, which I do not.
I'm not even going to make that joke anymore, because you already have way too many subscribers now. That joke is.
Yeah. Did you break a million yet?
Oh yeah, tons. Tons more. No, but so I'm on there. I do reviews and I show all part of the collection. Here on the Wicked Horror Show most Tuesdays, and check out the Wicked Horror Show Instagram where Kevin makes the little thumbnail, so you can check out who's coming on the show, who's been on the show, and stuff like that. Kevin?
Yeah, and he makes and he also makes death whistles. Don't.
Oh yeah.
If you want one,
I have a 3D printer because I have again I have nothing else going on in life. So I'm in my mid 40s and I just sit here 3D printing toys.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Anyways, not really. So
it is dope. It is dope.
Nah. So just tell my wife that for me. You can find me a knuckle on Instagram. And Sergio's the man. He asks that question every week. So yeah, he's the man.
That's awesome.
And so whatchamacallit? A knuckle on Instagram, doing the Wicked Horror Show. I'm also part of Black and White Fright and Violence Buffet. You can find those wherever podcasts are found. And thanks for watching / listening, and have a good night.
Thanks for having us.
See you later, Sergio.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Peace.